Have you ever applied for a business credit card or even a personal credit card and seen a message like this where your status is pending or they're going to review your application and get back to you? Maybe you even got denied within the application screen, or you just got approved for way less than what you thought you should get. Like this client of mine that only got approved for $1,400 at Chase, but then ended up getting that decision reversed to $8,000. So today my goal is to show you how you can get clarity on a pending status, how you can get a declined application overturned, or how you can even get an increase in credit limit based off what you thought you were about to get. All by calling the reconsideration line for most of the banks that you're going to apply with. And look, if you've ever called the reconsideration line after applying for a personal or business credit card and gotten a decision overturned, please leave that information down in the comments, because a lot of times your scenarios another person might be in, and maybe it's something I don't cover in this video, and it actually helps somebody be able to get the decision that they were looking for. So let us know what bank it was, what the situation was, and how things changed after you made the call. So first off, why should you call in the first place? Well, the first reason why you need to go ahead and call the reconsideration line and not hesitate about doing so is because you already got an inquiry on your credit. So when you applied, unless it was a soft pull, you got an inquiry on your credit report, which is now going to be affecting you in future applications. So you might as well go ahead and try to do all that you can to see about getting the decision that you wanted, whether that be a credit limit increase or getting a declined application overturned, because hey, you got the inquiry. And if you can save it, why not do so? You always miss the shots that you don't take. And while it can be embarrassing to get your shot swatted out of the air, only you and the representative would know that that happened. So give it a try. And another reason is, I know you might be thinking that those responses that you get, whether it be by email, by mail, or within the application process after you hit submit, it may seem like it's the concrete thing and nothing's going to happen to change it. But most of the time, those responses are just automated responses that just came from the computer system. After looking at your information, there could be some mistakes, there could be some things overlooked, and this happens quite frequently, more often than you think. And talking to somebody can actually make a difference. Now, going into this, you need to have a certain mindset and have an idea of what your reasoning is, because they're going to ask you some questions. Now, on the personal side, it's usually a lot lighter than on the business side. Not saying that it's heavy on the business side, but they just might ask you a few more questions. But first off, make sure that you have confidence going into the conversation and have confidence behind what you're saying to them. You don't want to sound unsure. You know, they might ask you questions about what your income is, what your revenue is, or maybe some items that are on your personal credit report. That is why, in order to have that confidence, you have to, of course, know what your numbers are as far as your income, your revenue, and make sure that you have looked at your personal credit report so that you know what's on there, so that they don't hit you with a surprise and then you start sounding unsure like you didn't know something like that was on your credit report. So review all of that stuff before the call so that you can walk in confident and say everything in confidence. Another thing to keep in mind is you want to have the mindset or relate a message that what you're trying to do here is build a stronger relationship with them, especially if this is your first card or second card with this bank. You know, them knowing that you're applying with credit that you plan on using on a regular basis, this helps them to know that, okay, this person wants to do more with us. So let's try to look out for them and help them out so we can give them a reason to want to grow their relationship, put more money in the bank. They're going to feel more inclined to want to help you, knowing that you want to build a better relationship with them. And another thing to mention here is that you might want to talk to more than one person just in case you don't get the answer that you wanted in the beginning. So I always say it's a good idea to talk to at least 3 people. You know, you don't want to just keep calling all day back to back. You know, you don't want to do that. But sometimes I've seen where a client called in, the first person said that, okay, there was nothing they could do. Then they call back a second time, and the next person, maybe they do a little bit more research or they look into the matter more, and then they end up getting the decision overturned or changed with that second person. Even if they say that they're going to send it up to a supervisor or to the next, level up from them, don't look at that as a scary thing. Usually that's a good sign, and the person that's higher up, a lot of times I've also seen them give the approval or overturn the previous decision. So again, talking to at least 3 people max, if you didn't get the decision that you wanted the first time, is a good rule of thumb, just to make sure that the first person, just didn't know what they were doing or they didn't know what to look for. If that was the case, you can possibly get somebody that might know a little bit more about what they're doing, or they might be more willing to make the change. Now, if you're getting value from this video so far, make sure you put a thumbs up on this video so YouTube can know to show this video to more people that's looking for this information. Because if it's helping you, of course, it can help somebody else. So go ahead and hit that thumbs up button for me. And also, if you are looking to get help with your business in regards to getting the money that you need to grow your business, especially before this holiday season, if you need to get more inventory, if you need to get an extra truck, if you want to pay for some holiday advertising by hiring an advertiser to do some marketing for you, it pays to have some extra money on hand to pay for those things. Because this is the time when the customers are going to be really spending some money. So if you're trying to get anywhere from 50K to 200K for your business, go down to the link below in the description, set up a free call with me, and I'll see how I can help you get the money you need for your business. Now, here are some of the reasons that you might get a denial or end up in pending status. One thing that could be the reason could be that you have too much as far as the dollar amount in open credit limits at the current bank that you're applying with. And in this instance, you already have a credit card with the bank and maybe you're going for a second, third, or fourth, something like that. And you might have been denied because you already have too much open credit with that bank and you're, at the limit of exposure that they're okay with for each individual person or business. This happens a lot with Chase. So the best thing that you can do in that scenario is you want to ask them, hey, if I lower my credit limit on one of these other cards, is it possible that I could take that amount that I lowered and add that on to this new card I'm trying to get? A lot of times that's all you need to do, and that's fairly easy for them to do. And again, you wouldn't be getting extra money in this instance. You would just be reallocating money that you already had available to you. But basically, maybe you're getting a card with different rewards points or something like that, so you still benefit. Now, another thing that could happen is maybe you have too many recent cards open. A lot of you guys already know about the Chase 524 rule, which based on how many previous credit cards you've opened in the last 24 months can just get you an immediate denial. Even if your credit's good, even if your income's good, you would still get the denial just because you've opened too many credit cards within that time frame. And a lot of times if you have been added as an authorized user on some accounts within the last 24 months, that's something that could seemingly make it look like you have reached that rule. But those authorized user accounts shouldn't be counted against you. So just in case, the automated decision just made that decision based off what it saw, having a person to manually look at that can lead to it being overridden and then you getting the account you were looking to get. Now, another reason could be your utilization on the current credit cards that you have could be too high or too low. Now, it's pretty obvious if you have a high utilization of credit cards that you might want to just, of course, pay that down. But in some instances, you could have already paid it down, but maybe it's not reflecting on your credit report. Now, one thing is, if you have high credit limits on credit cards that you have with the current bank that you applied at, and let's say you paid it down, but it just hasn't reflected, that bank can actually check to see that you have lowered those balances and they can verify that and hopefully get you that decision overturned immediately because they can see that your utilization actually isn't as high as what it seems. Now, low credit utilization will come into play at some banks because they might see that, you have a bunch of available credit, but you're not really using it. And as I mentioned before, banks like to see that you're building a relationship, you're using the accounts that you have, you're using the credit cards that you have. And if you're not really utilizing a lot of your credit card balances, then that means that you're going to probably get a card and not really use it. And with that, with utilization, of course, you want your utilization to be low to help your credit score out. Of course, that also lowers, your payments as well too. But, try to get down to that single digit range, but don't get all the way down to 1% in utilization. I would say try not to go too far under 5%. And again, all banks aren't going to make a decision based off of low credit utilization, but because some do, you want to keep that in mind. And if you just keep this rule in place, not going under 5%, but staying around or close to those single digits, then in most instances, you will be in a good place. Going back to my earlier example, when I had the customer that got approved with $1,400 at Chase and then it ended up getting overturned to $8,000. In that instance, it was a personal credit card and they did ask him some questions. We were building up his credit limits to get him to $30,000 so we could then proceed to get bigger amounts on the business side of funding. And they did ask him some questions, one dealing with a late payment he had a year prior, and one about high utilization on a authorized user card that he was authorized on. Even with all of that, he was still able to get an extra $6,600 that he would not have gotten had he not made the call. So don't leave that extra money on the table. Make sure that you are doing everything that you can to get all of the money that you need on the personal side and on the business side. Now, getting denials overturned and getting increases in credit limits are just the start. You also need to know what to do with all of this money that you now have for your business once you have it. So in this next video, I'm going to show you exactly what to do with this money to explode the growth of your business, because that's what we're in business for, right? To make money as a business. So learn more about that right here. And now, just in case your credit just wasn't where it needed to be to get the approval and you still got denied, go here to learn what to do about your credit to get it to a better place so you can get that approval next time. And I'll see you in the next video.